All the other premium travel cards are not MasterCards. For people looking for a one-card setup, this is awesome. To me, this is the return to form for Citi. In today's video, we're doing a review of the Citi Strata Premier. We'll run through year 1 and long term, the credit, break-even analysis, and how this card stands in the ecosystem. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised. Big favor, hit the like button to help with the algorithm. It surprisingly does help, and if you know anyone else looking for a new card, then consider sharing this. In year 1, the numbers work in our favor. As a starting point, you have some pretty good multipliers. The big one being 10x points on hotels, car rentals, and attractions booked through citytravel.com. You're also getting 3x on air travel, other hotel purchases, restaurants, supermarkets, gas stations, and EV charging. Also 1x on everything else. There is a $95 annual fee, but you also get a $100 hotel credit, and there is a bit more here, but we'll get into that. In year 1, it makes sense with the caveat that you're finishing the intro bonus. If you want even more value, you can take the points and transfer it to partners. If you're someone trying to fly first or business class, whether for the first time, or you just like premium travel, then there are a lot of options. These include Etihad, Emirates, Flying Blue, which is Air France KLM, Qantas, Singapore, Turkish, and Virgin Atlantic. Some of these are shared with other issuers, meaning that you can pull your points together for a bigger redemption. We'll run through a shared example later in the video. In year 2, if it doesn't make sense, you can downgrade it to a plethora of Citi cards, and you have some pretty good options. The Citi Double Cash and the Custom Cash are some of the best examples. I think the reason I like Citi so much is that you have arguably the best downgrade paths among all issuers. Double Cash is 2% everywhere and generally the golden standard. There are other 2% back cards, but since you are earning thank you points, you do have higher upside. The idea being that you can turn the cash back into points, which can then be transferred out. You also have the Custom Cash, which is one of the best cards out there that fit into pretty much any system. So you get 5% on up to 500 spend on your top spend category, and most people put it into their weak spots. Best case, you love the Strata Premier and you keep it long term. Worst case, if it's not a fit in year 2, then downgrade it to some of the best no annual fee cards out there. On that note, if you want to learn more about the Strata Premier or pretty much any other card out there, and you want to support the channel, we do have links on the website, asksebi.com, but also down below in the description box. Make sure the links are competitive, that the cards make sense for you and your circumstances, but otherwise, using those links is a very huge way to support the channel, so thank you guys in advance. In year 2, it's a function of how much you spend in different categories. We also do have a calculator if you do want to run the numbers for yourself for your own situation. So you can pretty much change how much you spend on restaurants, supermarkets, and everything else to see how many points you get and whether you get positive expected value and whether it makes mathematical sense. Link below if you're interested, and it should pop up if you Google Ask Sebi Strata Premier worth it. With that said, let's talk generally and go over the break-even. The main point being to figure out how much you would need to spend to get value above and beyond the annual fee. Where X is how much you spend on 3X categories, you can pretty much put the formula of the card out. Solving for X, you get 3,167. On a per month basis, that's about $264 for the 3X categories for the card to make mathematical sense. If you're doing transfer partners, then the points are worth more, meaning that the break-even is lower. So for example, at 2 cents per point, in that case, break-even is $1,584 or about $132 every month, which is pretty reasonable for things like dining, groceries, EV charging, and gas. If you ignore the hotel credit and you factor in a 2% opportunity cost, it might be a bit tougher. In that case, $9,500 or about $792 per month. So it can be a bit aggressive, but the main draw is that it's a great one and done card. For people looking for one card and who don't want a giant booklet, this is perfect. Super fast, but another factor is that the multipliers are global. Other cards might be 4x, but specifically for US supermarkets. This means that if you spend time in an international office, or if you have 2 homes, let's say you're between Canada and the US, then this can work pretty well, especially because there is no foreign transaction fee on the card. For example, a lot of people I know are Americans, but they work in either London or Hong Kong because of finance jobs. A final consideration for this part is that it unlocks value for your thank you points, where by having it, you can now take your cash back from the other thank you cards and transfer them out, in effect making the points more valuable. Also, I know we kind of talked about downgrade paths, but you can also run this as a trifecta. So for example, a lot of people are going to have the Strata Premier, the Double Cash, and also the Custom Cash. I'll talk more about that in the future, but it's an insanely powerful setup. One thing I did skip over for the break-even section is the value of the hotel credit. Main reason being that it's not a direct credit, your mileage may vary, and there are some catches. It's 100 off a stay, which can be multiple nights, but has to be 500 or more. Also, it does have to be booked on citytravel.com and not directly. As much as some people don't like the Delta Stays credit on some other cards, at least there's no minimum there. So for those cards, if it's a 250 credit, you can spend exactly 250, or you can spend right under at 240 or right over at 260 and use it up fully. Main idea being that you're not being forced to spend a lot more money. Not the case here. It also is hit or miss. So 2 years back, their hotels were more expensive by about $20 compared to some other portals. To be fair, it has apparently gotten a lot better. So 1 year ago with the new revamped portal, people were finding bookings that were actually cheaper. So if they were to book directly, it was $934, and through Citi, it was $604. They actually found another example of a boutique hotel that was $266 cheaper for 2 nights. And this type of pricing is not guaranteed by any means, but it does seem to be a lot better than it was historically. For travel portals, like pretty much anything else, I would shop around and check the prices. People seem weirdly angry about this, but it's a pretty normal process. Even if I were rebuying this mouse, same situation. The normal price might be $99, and that's what you see on Dell and Lenovo. Best Buy does have it for cheaper though, because they currently have a sale, because they're trying to get rid of inventory. Amazon's even cheaper, but it's not being sold directly by Amazon, so I'm usually a bit hesitant. But yeah, main idea, like everything else, shop around, make sure that you're getting a good deal. Don't go with the first price you get. Not going to read the full numbers, but if you do factor in the hotel credit and the full value of it, the numbers start to look a lot better. At 1 cent per point, the break even for the year is about $4,500 or about $375 per month, which is pretty reasonable. At 2 cents per point, break even is $2,250 or about $188 per month. All of these are with the opportunity cost, so if you can value the hotel credit, you're gonna break even pretty easily. One of the least talked about benefits is that Citi is bringing back some perks. The weak point for Citi compared to other issuers has been travel insurance and protections. And that's exactly what they added back. We are seeing trip cancellation and trip interruption, trip delay coverage, lost or damaged luggage, and also master rental coverage. They basically took the main complaints against the card and solved for it. One of the more interesting things too is the positioning. Other premium travel cards are not MasterCards. Especially if we do see MasterCard pushing more aggressively into perks, then this might be one of the best, if not the only option, to get those benefits. I guess you might have other cards like the Citi American Airlines Executive Card, but that's a pretty specific one. As we mentioned earlier, in terms of transfer partners, you have a ton of options. If you're not a big spender, then intro bonuses can help you with a bigger redemption. If trying first class is on your bucket list at least once in your life, then let's say you want to fly from Zone 13, which is New York, or the East Coast, to Zone 1, which is Singapore. That's going to run you 148,500 points for first per way. Definitely a ton of points, but also a ridiculous seat and experience, so it's the one with a bed and a seat and also a couple setup. And no, even though the 2 beds are next to each other, I think it's frowned upon to do what you're probably thinking. Still, the hard product is on most people's bucket list. The cheapest price I could find round trip for the flight was $16.5K, and if you adjust it for one way, that's $8,250. $850 value divided by 148.5K is 5.6 cents per point. Main takeaway, you're getting a ton of value, so I treat 2 cents per point as the hurdle rate that you want to get over, and this clears it. It definitely is a ton of points, but if getting 2 intro bonuses can unlock that experience for you, then it might be worth it. It definitely isn't for everyone, but if you are trying to maximize value, or if you're trying to be treated like a VIP, even if you're just like a peep like me, then this tends to be the best way. All of this to say is that this is a return to form for Citi, and the more competition, the better for us. Again, if you want to learn about cards, we have links on the website, asksebi.com, and also down below in the description box. If you made it to this point, leave a boxing emoji in the comments down below, and I'll try to heart it and also respond. 3 questions: what are your thoughts on the Strata Premier? How have you used or how do you value that $100 hotel credit? And also, how do you spend your points? Let me know and everyone else know in the comments down below. Big favor, thumbs up, share this with friends, consider subscribing, but otherwise hope you liked it. See you next time.